Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. This is the part 3 video on our video lessons on numbers and equation. And in this video lesson, we are going to look at the quadratic equation. And more importantly, we are going to look at the method for solving a quadratic equation, which are the factorization method, the completing the square method, and lastly, the quadratic formula. Also, in this video lesson, we are going to look at the sum and the product of the roots of a quadratic equation. So to get the best out of this video lesson, do well to get your writing materials and also don't skip any part of this video. So we begin this video lesson by looking at the definition of a quadratic equation. In mathematics, a quadratic equation is an equation in which the highest power of the unknown is equal to 2. So we have a standard form for representing a quadratic equation, and the standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So this is the standard form for representing a quadratic equation. And recall, a quadratic equation, like we said, is an equation in which the highest power of the unknown is equal to 2. In our previous video lesson, we discussed the simple linear equation, and we said that the simple linear equation is an equation in which the highest power of the unknown is equal to 1. But in this video lesson, where we are looking at a quadratic equation, the highest power of the unknown is equal to 2. In this particular form of a quadratic equation, we have two unknowns. X is an unknown, and x here is also an unknown. But the power of x here is 1, and the power of x here is 2. Because 2 is greater than 1, it makes this entire equation a quadratic equation. Or, looking at this second equation, this is an unknown, this is an unknown. X, they are the unknown. The power of x here is 1, and the power of x here is 2. Because 2 is higher than 1, it makes this entire equation to be a quadratic equation. Or, in this similar equation, the power of x here is 1, the power of x here is 2. Because the highest power is 2, we can best call these equations a quadratic equation. And you should know something. In this standard form, a must not be equal to 0. That is, this a, or the coefficient of x squared, should not be equal to 0. Because if it is equal to 0, it will shift this equation from being a quadratic equation to a linear equation. Let's say this is 0. 0 times x squared is 0. In mathematics, anything times 0 is also 0. So 0 times x squared is 0. So this entire equation becomes 0x squared plus 3x plus 5. And 0 times anything is 0. So it becomes 3x plus 5. So it automatically makes this equation to become a linear equation. So in a quadratic equation, the coefficient of x squared must not be equal to 0, because it will shift that equation from being a quadratic equation to a different equation. In mathematics, there are 4 ways, or there are 4 methods we can use to solve a quadratic equation. But for the purpose of this video lesson, we are going to be looking at 3 methods for solving quadratic equation, which are the factorization method, the completing the square method, and lastly, the quadratic formula. So we start by looking at the first method of solving the quadratic equation, which is the factorization method. So we have this first equation, x squared is equal to 3x, and also we have a squared plus 3 is equal to 4. Now, in solving a quadratic equation, remember that the standard form for a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So our entire equation should be equal to 0. And when you look at this equation and this equation, they are not equal to 0. So we have to make them to be equal to 0. So the first thing I'll do, I'll take this 3x to this other side of the equation. So when I take the other side of the equation, I'll have it as x squared minus 3x is equal to 0. Also, doing the same for this one, I'm going to have a squared plus 3a. Now, I will move this 4 to this other side of the equation, making it to become minus 4. Minus 4 is equal to 0. Now, when you move positive number over the equality sign to the other side of the equation, it becomes minus. When you move minus to the other side, it becomes plus. So just take note, when the sign crosses the equality sign, when either addition sign or the subtraction sign, or even the multiplication and division crosses the equality sign, it changes to the opposite sign. So simply, if plus 4 crosses the equality sign, it becomes minus 4. If minus 4 crossing the equation, it becomes plus 4. If the multiplication sign crosses, it becomes division, and if division crosses, it becomes multiplication. So now we have this as x squared minus 3 is equal to 0, and we have this as a squared plus 3a minus 4 is equal to 0. So let's look at this first question. So by factorization method, we are going to look at what is the factors of this number, or by factor, what is common, or what do they share in common. Now looking at this and looking at this, what they share in common is x. This one has an x, this one has an x. So that is the factor of both numbers. What do they share in common? So we know that they share x in common. So we take out x. When we take out x, what is left? So now what we are going to do is we are going to divide this x squared by x. So we have that x squared divided by x, and x squared means x times x over x. X will cancel one x, so we are left with one x. So this is now x. The same thing for this. This is minus. This is 3x divided by what we have taken out, or what we have factorized, which is x. X will cancel x. When we do that, we are going to have that minus 3 is equal to 0. So simple. Find out what they share in common. They both have x, but they don't have 3. So what they share in common, we are going to take it out as a factor, which is x. Then we divide this by this to give us x. Then divide this by this to give us 3 is equal to 0. So now, these are the factors of this equation. But when we are told to look for the roots of the quadratic equation, it simply means what are the values of the unknown. So we are going to go ahead and find that root. So now, we are going to make this to be equal to 0 and this to be equal to 0. So x is equal to 0. It means one of the root of x is 0. And also, this also is equal to 0. So we are going to have that x minus 3 is equal to 0. So when you collect, or when you shift this minus 3, we are going to have that x is equal to 3. So therefore, x is equal to 0 or x is equal to 3. So these are the roots of a quadratic equation. Why these are the factors of a quadratic, of this particular quadratic equation. So these are the factors, and then these are the roots. And these are the factors. So in the exam, when you are told to list the factors are x and x minus 3, but the roots are 0 and 3. So move on to the second question under factorization method. So we have a squared plus 3 minus 4 is equal to 0. And how do we solve this kind of equation? The first thing we have to do is that we multiply this entire part with c. So we are going to multiply ax squared with c. So in this equation, we have to multiply a squared with minus 4a. I want to do that. We are going to have minus 4a squared. So when we have done this, we will look for two numbers such that when we multiply them, as in their products, will give us minus 4a squared. Then when we add them, that is their sum, will give us plus 3. So two numbers so that when we multiply them, we are going to get minus 4a squared, and then when we add them, we are going to get 3a. So those two numbers we can use to get these numbers are plus 4 and minus 1. So in exam, we have to just do a quick thinking of two numbers so that when you multiply them, you are going to get this product, and when you add them, you are going to get the middle value for the coefficient of x. So now from quick thinking, the two factors or the two numbers are plus 4 and minus 1. The sign is very important. But if I said plus 4 plus 1, that will be 5, and we are not going to get this number. When I say plus 4 minus 1, we are going to get 3. And then when I say plus 4 minus 1, we are also going to get minus 4. So then we are going to attach the unknown to them, which are a and a. So the next thing we are going to replace this middle number with these two numbers. So we are going to have it as a squared plus 4a minus 1a is the same thing as minus a, then minus 4 is equal to 0. You can clearly see that this equation has not changed because plus 4a minus a is same thing as 3a. Next, we are going to do the factorization method. So we are going to look at what they share in common. They both share a in common. So we are going to write it as a. Then when we take out a, we are left with a here, then a plus 4. Plus 4. Next, when we look at both of them, they don't have anything in common. This is totally a and this is totally 4. So in an exam, when you are faced with this question and you find out that they don't share it in common, take their factor to be 1. And also, you find out that they both have the minus sign. So I'll take it as a minus 1. when you are solving a question, you find out that they don't have any in common, take their common factor to be 1, because one can divide this and one can also divide this. And also when you find a minus sign within, take the minus as part of the factor. So I have that as minus 1. I want to take that as minus 1. Minus divided by minus is plus a. This is also a plus. 4 divided by 1 is 4. This equal to 0. And another way to know if you are correct when solving this kind of equation is that these two factors in the bracket must be the same. If they are not the same, it automatically means there is something wrong with the calculation. So since both of them are the same, you will pick one. So I'm going to have it as a plus 4. Then what is outside? We are going to place it in one bracket. We have a here, and then we have minus 1 is equal to 0. So these are the factors. When you add the factors, these are the factors of the quadratic equation. So the factors in your exam are a minus 4 and a minus 1. But when you are told to look for the root, you make this to be equal to 0 and also make this to be equal to 0. Just like we made this to be equal to 0, then we have x equal to 0. Then we also made this to be equal to 0 and we got x is equal to 3. So I'm going to take this first one to be equal to 0. So we have that a plus 4 is equal to 0. So when we take this plus 4 to the other side, we are going to have that a is equal to minus 4. Because once plus 4 crosses this sign, it becomes minus 4. And also a is minus 1 is equal to 0. That's a minus 1 equals 0. So we want to take it to this other side. We are going to have that a is equal to plus 1. So therefore x, or a rather, is equal to minus 4, or a is equal to plus 1. So these are the roots of the quadratic equation, the roots, while these are the factors of the quadratic equation. So we have the factors as a plus 4 and a minus 1, and then we have the roots as a equals to minus 4. So a can be minus 4 or a can be plus 1. Recall that the values of the unknown has 2, or the unknown has 2 values. So that's why we keep getting 2 values for the unknown. The second method for solving a quadratic equation is the completing the square method. We use this method when a quadratic equation is not factorizable. So now how do we use completing the square to solve a quadratic equation? Now looking at this first question, the question says solve the equation x squared minus 12x plus 1 is equal to 0. Now recall that the power of the unknown, the highest power here is 2. So this makes the equation a quadratic equation. And the first thing we have to do when we are using this method, which is completing the square, is that we are going to move the constant to the other side of the equation. Now this is our constant plus 1. We are going to move it to this other side of the equation. So when we do that, we are going to have this equation to be x squared minus 12x is equal to, if plus 1 comes out, it become minus 1. Secondly, we are going to take half of the coefficient of x. Now x has the coefficient of minus 12 in this equation. So we are going to take half of minus 12 in this equation. We are going to take half of the coefficient of x. This is x and the coefficient is minus 12. Remember, your sign is very important. So this now become 1 over 2. All of mathematics means times minus 12. So 1 times minus 12 will give us minus 12, then over 2. When we divide 12 divided by 2, we are going to get minus 6. So half of the coefficient of x is minus 6. So next, step number 3, we are going to square this value. So when we square that value, minus 6 squared. So this, by squaring it, we are going to have it as minus 6 squared. And lastly, we are going to add it to both sides of the equation. So this is our equation, x squared minus 12. So we are going to add it plus, what we are going to add is this minus 6 squared. So we are going to add it as minus 6 squared to this side. On the other side, we are also going to add it to the other side of the equation. So on this other side, we have minus 1. We are going to also add this one to the other side of the equation. So having it as minus 6 squared. So remember the rule, move your constant, then take half of the coefficient of x, which is minus 6, then square it and then add it to both sides of your equation. So we have added minus 6 squared to both sides of the equation. So what we are going to do, we are going to pick out this with x squared and this with the square. So we have it as x squared plus minus 6 squared is equal to, this is minus 1 plus minus 6 squared is 36. That's minus 6 square. So now, because this has square and this has square, we are going to pick the number and place them in a common square. So I'm going to write it as x. This is minus 6. They both have square, so I'm going to give them a common square. X minus 6 square is equal to minus 1 plus 36 is 35. Remember, pick these two that have square, place them in the bracket just like we have done. Then work on this one. Minus 1 plus minus 6 square is 36. Then this will give us 35. So this square, when square comes to the other side, it becomes square root. Just like when plus crosses the equal sign, it becomes minus. Or minus plus the equal sign, it becomes plus. So when this square comes to this other side, it becomes square root. We are going to write it as x minus 6 is equal to the square root of 35. In mathematics, whenever we take the square root, we are going to add a plus or minus. So I'm going to write as x minus 6 is equal to plus or minus square root of 35. So we have the equation as x minus 6 is equal to a plus or minus square root of 35. In mathematics, whenever we take the square root of any number, our final answer should be a plus or minus. So if you have to take the square root of 4, my answer should be a plus or minus 2, because plus 2 times plus 2 will give us 4. Also minus 2 times minus 2 will also give us 4. So the square root of any number should be a plus or minus of the answer. So take note of this plus or minus. So when we take the square root, we are going to have a plus or minus. So next, we have it as x minus 6 is equal to plus or minus square root of 35. So we take this one to the side. So we have it as x is equal to 6 plus or minus the square root of 35. So the square root of 35 is 5.92. 5.92. So what we are going to do from here, we are going to take the plus separately and the minus separately. So therefore, x is equal to 6 plus 5.92, and this will give us 11.92, or x is equal to 6 minus 5.92, and this will give us 0.08. So therefore, the roots of this equation are 0.08 or 11.92. So this is how we use the complete square method for solving quadratic equation. So the third method for solving the quadratic equation is the quadratic formula. Most students find the formula difficult to memorize, but to easily memorize formula, it is important to use this formula to solve as much question as possible, so that you can easily remember this question, especially in the examination hall. Now the formula or the quadratic formula is given as x is equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So this is called, or this is known as the quadratic formula. So it helps us to find the roots of a quadratic equation. So this is the quadratic formula, which is x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b minus 4ac over 2a. So now remember that we have a standard form for a quadratic equation, which is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Now when we compare, we are going to have a as 3, b as minus 13, and then c as minus 10. That's by comparison using the standard form for a quadratic equation. So we have it as a to be equal to 3, b is equal to minus 13, and then c is equal to minus 10. So our quadratic formula is x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So now we are going to use formula to solve. Our b is minus 13, that's minus b is minus 13 plus or minus the square root of b squared. B is also minus 13, but it is b squared, that's minus 13 squared minus 4 times a is 3 times c is minus 10 all over 2 times a is 3. So we have this as x is equal to minus times minus is plus. So we have it as 13 plus or minus the square root of minus 13 square is 169. Now minus 4 times 3 times minus 10. Minus times minus is plus. 4 times 3 is 12 times 10. That was 120 all over 2 times 3 is 6. So we have it as x is equal to 13 plus or minus the square root of 169 plus 120 all over 6. So when we simplify further, we are going to have it as 13 plus or minus 169 plus 120 gives us 289 over 6. Then we have this as x is equal to 13 plus or minus the square root of 289 is 17 divided by 6. So now we are at this junction again when we have plus or minus. So we'll take the plus first, then we'll take the minus. So we have it as x is equal to 13 plus 17 over 6. And 13 plus 17 gives us 30 divided by 6, which will give us 5. Or x is equal to 13 minus 17 over 6. So you take the plus, then you take the minus. And 13 minus 17 gives us minus 4 over 6. So when we simplify this fraction further, 4 divided by 2 will give us 2, or minus 2 rather. Then 2 divided by 6 will give us 3. So therefore, the value of the unknown x is equal to 5, or x is equal to minus 2 over 3. So remember that the correct formula is simple. It is x equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So you have to memorize this formula and also know the standard form for the quadratic equation. Lastly, in this video lesson, we are going to look at the sum and product of the roots of a quadratic equation. Now remember that the roots of a quadratic equation are the values of the unknown. So now this part says if alpha and beta are the roots of an equation, then what do we have? So it simply means that the unknown are alpha and beta. So let's say the unknown is x. So we have x to be equals to alpha, or x to be equals to beta. So when I take alpha to say, I have it as x minus alpha is equal to 0, or when I take beta to say, I have it as x minus beta is equal to 0. Since they are both equal to 0, I'll place them in bracket x minus alpha and this x minus beta, they are both equal to 0. Then when I expand this bracket, x will open up this bracket. So as x multiply this entire bracket, x minus beta, x will multiply this entire bracket, then minus alpha will multiply this entire bracket, x minus beta is equal to 0. Recall, x multiply this bracket, then minus alpha will multiply this bracket. So that's what we have on this side. So x times x will give us x squared, minus beta times x will give us minus beta x, minus alpha times x will give us minus alpha x. Then this times give us minus times minus will give us a plus. Alpha times will give us alpha beta is equal to 0. Then I can, since this has x and this has x, I can factorize them. So I have it as x squared minus x. When I take out minus x, because they both have x, I'm going to have alpha plus beta, or beta plus alpha beta is equal to 0. So the standard form for a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So I want to make x squared to have a coefficient of 1. What I'll simply do is I'll divide all through by a. A will take off a. So I have it as x squared plus b over ax plus c over a. Then 0 divided by a is 0. So now when I bring this equation down, this entire equation down, so I have it as x squared minus alpha plus beta x plus alpha beta is equal to 0. Now what can I infer from this equation? I can infer that the sum, that's alpha plus beta, is equal to b over a, and also the product alpha times beta is equal to c over a. So in your exam, when you are asked for the sum which is alpha plus beta, you can simply get the sum of the product or the sum of the root by dividing b over a. And then when you ask for the root of a quadratic equation, that's alpha times beta, you can simply get it by dividing c over a. So therefore, the root of a quadratic equation, alpha plus beta, is equal to b over a, and the product of the root, alpha times beta, is equal to c over a. So we can simply compare it from this particular equation. So our first question under this aspect, which is finding the sum and product of the root of an equation, is that we are looking for the sum and product of this equation 2x squared minus 10x plus 7. Recall that the sum of the root of the quadratic equation, which is alpha plus beta, can be gotten by dividing b over a, while the product of the root, which you can get, that's alpha times beta, is equal to c over a. So how can we do that? Remember that the standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So that tells us that a is 2, b is minus 10, and then c is plus 7. So we have it as a to be equals to 2, b is equal to minus 10, and then c is equal to 7. So for the sum, which is alpha plus beta, which is equal to b over a, b is minus 10 over a, which is 2. So therefore the sum will give us minus 5. So the sum of the root is equal to minus 5. Then for the product, which is alpha times beta, is equal to c over a, and c is 7, then a is 2. So therefore the final answer is 7 over 2. So the sum of the root is minus 5, and then the product of the root is 7 over 2. So our last question under this aspect, which is sum and product of the root of an equation, is that we have to find the equation in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, whose sum and product are given above. So it means that the sum alpha plus beta is equal to 3, and alpha beta is equal to 4. Same thing here, we have alpha plus beta is equal to minus 5, and also alpha beta is equal to 6. Recall that the general form is x squared minus alpha plus beta times x plus alpha beta is equal to 0. So now alpha plus beta is 3, so I have it as x squared minus 3, because alpha, the sum in this case is 3, then times x, plus alpha times beta, that's the product, is equal to 4, is equal to 0. So this is the equation. Also, using that same method, is write as x squared minus alpha plus beta times x plus alpha beta is equal to 0. So this is x squared minus, now in this case the sum is minus 5, minus 5, plus the product is 6, is equal to 0. So I have it as x squared minus times minus is plus 5, plus 6 is equal to 0. So the equation finally is x squared plus 5 plus this x squared plus 5x rather plus 6 is equal to 0. And on this side I have x squared minus 3x plus 4 is equal to 0. I hope you learned something from this video. Don't forget to like and share this video lesson. And also do it to subscribe to this channel if you haven't done that, so that you always get notified as soon as new videos drop on this channel. Till you get to see my next video, do have a wonderful time.